Yo. K-pop has a problem right now. That's probably too general. K-pop has several problems at the moment, and the one taking up everyone's attention is the one we all keep hearing about. However, as a result of that, other issues have been overlooked and are going unaddressed in K-pop discourse. Every time I check my phone, there's another development in the Minhy's Innovador versus Hype case. I know we already know all of this, but just for a quick rundown. BTS's agency, HYBE, which owns many entertainment labels and popular groups, is being sued by the CEO of one of those labels for alleged failure to uphold their promises. This is, of course, an issue and reveals deeper problems within the industry at the moment of how the monopoly HYBE has on the whole market is leading to less competition, less innovation, and less creativity overall. But that's actually not the issue I'm talking about today. This is an article from Reuters, an online worldwide news site that does actually good journalism, published on May 31st, 2024. In it, we see a graph showing that the stock prices of the top 4 entertainment companies in the industry have fallen as much as 20 to 50% since June last year. In just 12 months, they have lost a collective $6.2 billion of market value. For those of you not in the know, these 4 companies alone accounted for 16 of the top 20 best-selling K-pop albums from 2023, according to statistics from Circle Chart. So them being on a downslope means the whole industry is. On average across the 4, share prices have gone down about 25%. So if in June of last year you owned $10 worth of shares in these companies, those shares are now worth $7.50. Needless to say, if things continue like this, it'll be very bad for the industry. Most people have chalked this up to, oh, well, BTS isn't promoting, so K-pop has lost its vanguard, so to speak, and is less enticing to invest in. And absolutely, yes. The name recognition of BTS and their popularity worldwide cannot be overstated. Understated? I never knew how that worked, which, it's big. And the HYBE versus Adore situation definitely wouldn't have helped this. While groups like Stray Kids, TXT, and NewJeans are on the up and up and doing well in terms of popularity and sales, none of them are yet the household names that BTS are. You ask the average American to name K-pop singers, and they'd probably only be able to name BTS and Psy. Maybe Blackpink if you're lucky. Speaking of Blackpink, yes, they are comparable to BTS in terms of popularity, but how long has it been since they all last promoted together? And they've now all decided not to re-sign with YG for their solo endeavors, leading to speculation on what a comeback might even look like for them as a group and how long it might be before we see it. Blackpink still get views on their older works. Just recently they became the first K-pop act to surpass 1.7 billion views on 3 separate music videos. But they're not releasing a lot of new stuff as a group at the moment, which means no concert ticket sales, but more importantly, no album sales. You see, the Reuters article goes on to state that the other main reason for the value decline of these pillars of the industry is CD sales. I don't think any K-pop fan needs to be told that this industry is one of the last few where CD sales actually contribute to a large part of an artist's revenue. CDs pretty much died their last death when Spotify and other music streaming services like Melon in South Korea became widely adopted. The K-pop industry saw this and said, "But I raise you, good sir. What if we made these a full-fashion photo book?" You open up a K-pop album and there's not just the CD and a flimsy bit of paper with the lyrics printed in the lowest quality you've ever seen. You get photo cards, stickers, and most importantly, the photo book with all the members dressed in outfits that match the concept of the album. That not enough for you? Okay, how about several different versions of the same album, with different photo books in each? And even if you get the album you want, what if the photo card isn't of your favorite member? You only get one after all, and it's gotcha. Plus, if you pre-order the album, we'll throw in a free poster. Oh well, guess I better buy 10 copies of this one album. This is how the K-pop industry has managed to keep CD sales not just alive, but thriving. Well, this all sounds great. What's the issue then? The problem is these sales have seen a massive drop-off based on export reports according to this article. There's a pretty obvious cause here. We're constantly hearing about and feeling the effects of the cost of living crisis that is forcing businesses to cut back on expenditure because customers just aren't buying as much. Whereas before, fans might splash to buy all 4 versions of the album, now they're only buying one, or maybe none at all if it's a group that they like but don't love. At the end of the day, these albums are a luxury, not a necessity. And so if you have to choose between a shiny new toy or paying your rent, anyone with a lick of financial sense would choose the latter. But there's one other factor that I think might be affecting CD sales, which Reuters doesn't address, which is understandable because it's a much more complicated issue. It's not something K-pop fans like to discuss, but female artists just don't sell as many albums as male artists do. Going back to that same list of the best-selling K-pop albums from 2023, let's have a look at the gender breakdown this time. In that same top 20, 15 artists were male and only 5 were female, which, when we look back at previous years as well, has pretty much always been the case. The all-time record for a year since the chart first started counting back in 2010 is 6 female artists in the top 20. I've often said to anyone who would listen, really, that in K-pop, male artists get album sales and female artists get views and streams. What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at the girl group Everglow as an example. From a smaller agency, but having several hit songs from 2019 to 2021, all of Everglow's title track music videos from that period have over 100 million views on YouTube. And if you asked the average K-pop fan, they would probably know their songs. But how many of these people would actually own one of their albums? I wager it is a very small amount. The 2019 songs were huge hits, but if you look at the album charts for that year, they are nowhere in the entire top 100. In contrast, at that same time, Stray Kids, who were still up and coming, released their Levanta album. Their title track music video for that release only has 49 million views on YouTube, but that album is 30th on the chart for that year. This is a result of the gender gap in K-pop fans. The majority of K-pop fans are female. This is not something I need evidence for, this is something I have seen for myself, attending cup sleeve events, concerts, and K-pop nights at clubs. Male fans do exist, and from my experience are all lovely people, but they are the minority. This imbalance often leads to male artists having more hardcore followings, simply because they're more physically attractive to their fans. How do I put this more simply? Girls like guy groups because they get to look at pretty men they are attracted to. Girls also like girl groups, but they're not going to be as attracted to them because girls aren't their romantic or sexual preference. I mean, for some girls it will be, but there's no easy way of finding out what the percentage is of lesbian K-pop fans. Female K-pop fans will happily listen to girl groups who are popular, but they will not get overly invested and will happily move on to the next group when the trends change. With boy groups, they're more likely to become devoted and form a parasocial relationship, thus being willing to buy their albums even if it's not the group's best work. The only girl groups really able to overcome this were Twice and Girls' Generation, who developed a passionate male following who attended all their concerts and bought all their albums. Coming back around to today again at last, let's look at that 2023 best-selling album list one more time. Who is at the top of the list? Let's take the top-selling artist of each of the 4 labels according to the Circle chart, and overlay when they had major album releases with how stock prices fluctuated. It would appear that the 2 companies who have seen the worst dip, JYP and YG, also happen to be the 2 companies that haven't had a comeback for their best-selling artist of 2023 in the past 6 months. I mean, Stray Kids released a single, but that didn't have an album attached to it. And Treasure has literally only just had a comeback, so that isn't reflected on this chart. So in conclusion, a part of this CD sales slump can be contributed to large groups like Stray Kids and BTS, who normally do big numbers in album sales, not having a full group album release in a while. That and new K-pop boy groups aren't coming in to replace the ones that are disappearing because of military service or declining popularity. I keep on waiting for a new boy group debut that knocks me off my feet, and I keep on getting disappointed. Zero Base One was the only boy group from the past 3 years who even came close. JYP's new Japanese boy group Next has potential, but we'll see. But I think this is a sentiment shared by many fans. K-pop girl groups are excelling at the moment, but boy groups are lagging behind a bit. And the culture hasn't changed enough yet for girl groups to sustain enough album sales to make up for it. Aside from this, K-pop labels could make their albums more enticing to buy by either lowering shipping costs, which is never gonna happen, or my personal solution, having more interesting concepts for their photo books. No one has done it better than BTS with their Map of the Soul 7 album, in my opinion, which is really disappointing. It's been 4 years and nothing better has come out. Do more interesting concepts for your photo books, K-pop industry. Looking at these statistics from an outsider perspective, it would be easy to say that K-pop itself is in a slump, or that perhaps its time in the sun was brief and it's already over. But if you go below the surface level, hardcore fans remain, and there's still more of them than ever. Every time someone I used to go to school with reveals they now like K-pop, which has happened multiple times, I get to sit back being all smug knowing that I liked it before they did. Stock prices are currently low, but I have no reason to believe that they won't bounce back as new groups rise to prominence and BTS returns. As long as the demand is there from the audience, artists and companies will appear to match it. But seriously, can we do something to lower the price of K-pop albums? Even your most basic album costs $50, and the majority of that is just going to shipping. It's not even going towards supporting the artist I like.